Lights, camera, action.
Trigger it on there, and I will call this special meeting of the Public Site and Building Commission to order at 7:01. Please join me in the pledge. Flag over there on the corner. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, thank you. Alrighty, so we only have one thing on our agenda. I forgot.
Kathy, Anthony's in the waiting room.
Oh, there he is. Okay, good.
Yeah.
And then, yeah. So let's wait for Anthony to get all connected and such. Hi, Anthony. Hello. All right. Okay, so we only have the one agenda item, and that's the GMP for the training range from Downs, which was sent out to everyone late last week by Evan. So you've all had time to review it. I also had sent the draft to Marty Lawler, town attorney. He was on vacation, but he was back Monday. I heard from him yesterday, and he called me today too. Basically what we were looking for from him was any legal language that might need to get either changed or clarified, etc. And he ended up going on and on about only we, including Anthony and Mr. Durkin, would understand and know whether all this stuff, like the list of plans and the list of specifications, etc., from Jakotski Humes was in place, so that the bids that were received by Downs would be complete. I said, that's true. It's been vetted by STV. We've all read it. Anthony and Downs have been working on it for quite a while when they finally got all the numbers together. So I think we're good with it. And I don't know if we should make a motion to approve and then we'll discuss, or do we want to discuss?
Make a motion for discussion.
Motion
Yeah.
to approve.
So you're going to make a motion to approve for discussion.
Right.
So that's Roy, and who wants the second?
A second.
We got seconds from both Johns. All right, for discussion. So do we need to put it up there for people to look at? Do we want to?
Sure, I can put it up there.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's any specific areas that anybody has questions on.
Yeah, second.
So it's a standard, I had asked Evan, which he, just for clarification, because it's an amendment, it's basically an amendment to the agreement that we had initially put in place with Downs a year ago. So we had asked Downs for a proposal to be the construction manager to do some of the pre-construction stuff. And this is an amendment to that, spelling out all the parts of the GMP.
And the pre-con numbers and everything, they all mesh together. Everything looks like they match up,
Right.
language-wise and dollar-wise, so there's no issues there.
Right.
Is this discussion time?
Yeah, go ahead.
So the only question I have is, did the parts only 5-year extended warranty make it? Where is it? So
That's
they-
not part of Downs's GMP.
Oh,
That's with
okay.
Action
That's
Target.
separate,
Okay.
yeah. Yep. And just,
But that is part of the overall project budget that I sent out this
In
morning.
there as
Okay,
well.
it is in there.
Yes. Yeah.
Just those one.
yeah,
Good.
which if we need to look at the budget part for numbers, we can do that too, as part of the discussion, but we can look at this first. I know that in going through it, like I said, and I think Anthony can probably answer this, is they've been Downs has been very thorough as far as getting all the numbers together. And it did take them a little bit of time to finally get numbers on a couple of different things. Yet those seem to be very complete, and you're good with that. Anthony, you can let us know, I mean, you've spent a lot of time on this, so you feel like it's very complete.
Yes. A couple of things I just want to know, and I think we mentioned them at the last meeting, right? Evan and I discussed the fire alarm is going to be by vendor. Telecom, we're going to install the infrastructure, the boxes, the conduit, and then I believe Action Target has a small rack that's going in the support space. So they'll terminate their wiring and stuff. One thing I did notice, because we talked about it last week, you asked me about the building permit. So I did reach out to the building department. I filed the permit application, but I just want, if you just look, you have the GMP page up right there, right? So, right, because it's a municipal project, right, the building permit fee is waived. So we're only paying that 26.026 cents or whatever. But I just, that is only on this portion of work. So I guess I want to be clear on that, because the bulk of the work is going to be performed by Action Target. So now we're in, is that the building official, a couple things to talk about, responded to me and said you also need to apply for a zoning review and health review. So typically zoning and health happen early on, and you get those approvals. So I mean, I could certainly have that discussion with those guys, but this portion of the overall work is very small. So I just want to make sure that Action Target is carrying, their permitting as well, because they have the larger portion of work. And, I know that the makeup air unit is going outside on the pad. Now, I would have assumed that, P&Z and health had, right, the infrastructure, the building structure is in place, right? So we're not really changing anything there. It's the interior work. But I just want to be clear that our permitting it only includes our portion of work, and the electrical portion, our electrician will go get a permit for the portion of work that's identified in this GMP and the scope that we had. Our fire protection contractor, he's responsible for getting the fire protection, but there's going to be a whole nother mechanical portion and building fit out portion from Action Air, which is, this is okay. I just want to make sure.
Performance, Action Target finalized their contract with Performance Mechanical, and they're pulling their mechanical permit, and their fees are part of, the permit fees for that are part of Action Target's overall fees as well.
All right, perfect. Doesn't have to be a discussion right now while you guys are reviewing this, but I guess I would like a little feedback on like how we feel about applying for P&Z and health reviews. None of our scope has
Yes.
to do with that, but
I got it was approved 5-6 years ago it should be pretty much a walkthrough, because we're not changing the use at all.
Right, but we should still
Right.
check in with them.
yeah.
And then health, again, should be, we just need to update them on the MAU and make sure that we're putting the right amount of air in there and exchange the air quickly enough to keep it healthy. Because we don't have any plumbing or any drains or anything like that we need to worry about.
So who's gonna do that?
So that should also be, because we need I'll need to get information from Performance, and then I could bring it to the town but they're also already going down there for pulling their own construction permits.
Right.
So Evan, maybe you and I take this offline tomorrow. We catch up and kind of join forces, because I got a portion in which is very small for our work, and then Action Target or Performance is going to have a portion, and let's get together tomorrow. And I'm sure we'll get through it. We'll navigate through it. But I was trying to be, after our meeting last week, I reached out, I had a conversation with the building official, I applied for it, and it's just kind of, there's a lot more scope involved than what we're doing. So I just want to make sure, we got all our bases covered.
Right, because it will have to, like you and Action Target, whoever takes out that permit, will have to get sign-offs from planning and zoning, health department, and might be the fire marshal. So, yeah. So I'll have to make sure that gets done. Okay. Yeah, but that's good, Anthony and Evan, you can start that conversation, and also you'll need to, Evan, make sure that Action Target gets all the different parts covered. And then if there's stuff that is on the kind of other side, not outside the GMP, but still controls or any of that, if it's part of, you need to have the building official look at, we may need to have 2 different permits, so.
Yeah, it is unfortunate that, again, we have all these different kind of contractors working in the
Right.
same pot.
Yes.
But yeah, so obviously Downs will have their overall permit that their subs will pull underneath, and Action Target is gonna have to be a permit holder as well with their subcontractors
Mhm.
underneath that.
Right,
There's one thing that came up with the original building before our buggers were caught. The health department, because they've never did a shooting range before, the health director found some type of requirements for a Navy shooting range, air exchange. And she insisted that we use that at the time. Now, we tried to explain to her, other police departments throughout the United States who've had equipment put in, didn't have to go to this requirement. And this may come up again as a problem.
right. She may bring that up.
And because, you can go to the Army for a shooting range requirement, you could go to the Marine Corps, you can go to the state police, but some reason
all
she
different.
chose Navy, and it's like, at the time, that was the gospel. So I don't know what's gonna
And
happen
it was
now.
also kind of overkill.
Overkill,
So-
oh my God, yes.
Yeah, but I think since there are several police departments in the state who have recently put ranges in, that we can point to those as far as specifications for her to look at.
But I thought the original range was recirculating range. This is what I thought you consider one pass,
Mhm.
which is drastically different.
Yeah,
So
and
the air is just going in and going out
we may need to
versus
help her understand that.
recirculating.
Yeah,
That's what I thought.
yeah.
Originally,
What-
it was a recirculating system.
Yes, it was.
System that they designed.
So
Yes.
we just make sure that she
There's heating
understands,
air
that
and Just taking it and dumping it outside.
Right.
it's just something to understand in case it gets brought up again, that's all.
Yep.
So you're right.
That's funny information.
Yeah. Anybody have anything else? Do we need to scroll through pages and look at anything? Anybody? Do you want to look at the budget before we?
So I just want to, I don't know if it just helps clarify anything, but this is kind of our like standard construction procedure, right? So you guys sign a pre-construction agreement, and then we do this amendment, this A-133. The only, and I went back at the same process you did back in 2017, 2018 with the building. So the only thing is that one was probably like a 2009 form. This is an updated form, but yeah, you do your initial agreement on your pre-construction, you put your bid documents out, and this is an amendment to that original contract, just approving the GMP. So
Okay, thanks for that, Claire.
standard stuff.
So the other question I have, we approved the GMP tonight, it goes to council for his approval and signed by the selectmen?
So
Or is it?
it's, Marty doesn't have anything that he feels
Okay.
needs to be either changed or whatever with any of the legal language. So we approve tonight and then it gets signed. So there's this that was all sent out to everybody, has no signatures on it. And so Anthony, I guess I need to know from you, who's gonna sign it first? Do you want us to print it and have our first selectman sign it and then Jeff will sign it, or do we do the other way?
No, yeah, and so I think I sent Evan a note when I sent this out Friday, I said, this was the finalized version, the last one was in draft. When this is voted on tonight, what we'll do is I could add the signature, if you go to like the last, well, I would say page, not the last page, maybe the last page of the AIA, probably page 4 or 5. I could add whoever needs to sign it, the first selectman. And then Jeff, our VP, will sign, and I could send it over to Evan. So typically we execute it first. So initial all the pages, I'll send it over, and I could add that in there, or I could leave it blank, and I know on the original one, there were some crossouts. I don't know if there was a change of position. So, I mean, I could leave it like this. Jeff could sign it, initial the pages and send it over to you guys. But yeah, typically we execute it. Once you guys review it and approve it, we'll send a signed copy for you.
Okay, yeah, the original, last August was signed by Rich Straighten because he was, I think Matt was away and it was before Matt resigned, so he was acting first selectman at the time. So Dan Carter will sign it. He can, you can print that in there if you want, or he can write it in, whichever. But once you get it signed by Jeff, then have it sent, you can send to Evan and me, and then I'll print it and bring it to Dan to sign it. So if we do that tomorrow, that would be good, because I'll still be here tomorrow, and that way we get it going.
Yes.
Now, on top of that, are you also going to need, because once he signs it, I
If
can,
you approve it, tonight, I could have it to you tomorrow.
and once Dan signs it, do you want a scanned copy? Do you want a,
You could say, yeah, I mean, we're kind of in the digital age, right? Yeah, you could scan it in and send it back to us, and that's enough for me to
okay,
get going. And actually, just based on the approval tonight, as a courtesy, I reach out to my subcontractors, the low bidders that were included in the GMP.
right,
Some of them have been eagerly anticipating a response from me, so I kind of give them a heads up that there's going to be a vote tonight, and potentially, we could get started here soon. So with tonight's vote, I'll send out a signed copy tomorrow for you guys to execute, and that'll also allow me to issue a letter of intent to our subcontractors so that they'll get going with shop drawings, their submittals, to kind of expedite that process.
okay. And then do you need a letter of intent from us, or can we just say we approved it, we're good to go, and you should get in a couple of days, you should get the signed copy?
Yeah, tonight's approval is fine, and I mean it's a record approval, so
Right, okay.
I'll proceed with that. Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be in our minutes too, if anybody needed to see it.
Yep.
So. Anything else?
So the only thing that I'll mention that's very important, and I don't know if anybody did it already, somebody has to contact the gas company, Eversource. And I have a contact if anyone needs it. But you gotta do a load letter, very, very important. So the makeup air unit that's getting added to the natural gas to the PD, they have to do a load letter, they have to take those BTUs and they have to match it up to the meter and the regulators that are on the building.
Okay,
That has to get in motion now, because it takes a while to get through their system. They have to send the field supervisor out, there's a whole chain of command that happens.
great.
That is very important, because I would imagine that.
So I'm still trying to get confirmation on availability, Anthony, from Action Target and Performance for our kickoff meeting next week. They did say that their long weekend is extending into Tuesday, so it'll be Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday for a kickoff meeting, and I'll make sure that's part of the agenda, John.
So if you need, I have two contacts that I use all the time. You could start with them unless you have somebody.
Okay.
I'll send them to you.
Yeah,
I'll send you.
appreciate it. Thank you.
Do you think that the meters and such will need to be upgraded, or?
No.
No.
I don't
it's
think the
just-
meter will be, but there's a chance that the regulator might
Yeah.
have to be.
Yeah.
Because of the consumption, that's a pretty big unit.
Mhm.
And, you're adding quite a bit of load to
Right,
the regulator.
right. And so as Evan said, he's working on putting together a meeting next week with everybody who needs to be a part of it. He'll let us know, so if any of us want to get on, we can. If there's too many of us, just make sure there's not a quorum at all. So it'll be kind of like a coordination, but also the beginning of OAC meetings.
Right, yeah, I'll run this one until you actually have boots on the ground, Anthony.
And Anthony, were you saying that there is going to be someone from Downs who will be on site? Will it be every day, or will it be whatever days you think they need to be there?
Yeah, so we carried 4 weeks, and that'll be roughly the duration of the scope of work carried in the GMP. So, when the electricians and the fire protection guys are in there doing their rough-in, during some of the support work with the installation of the split systems, the addition of, the doors and the hardware and the millwork. Yeah, so we carried about 4 weeks. That's roughly our duration.
Okay.
You know, the critical part is gonna be obviously that coordination between Action Target and our subcontractors. But, you know, the way I see it is we'll sneak in there and, I don't wanna say sneak in there, but we, you know, we'll get our electrician and our fire protection contractor, we'll get into the range space and do all their roughing. And then, you know, Action Target will go and start doing their fit out, and then there's gonna be a level of coordination because a lot of the sprinkler heads are like kind of sidewall heads that penetrate through their baffles. And then the lighting fixtures actually attach to the baffle. So they'll go in there, they'll do all the roughing, Action Target will come in, do their fit out, and then they'll have to sneak back in and kind of work together as the baffles are being installed. So we covered that amount of supervision, but, you know, while Action Target is in there doing their fit out, you know, until they're ready to coordinate the installation of the baffles with our trades, you know, I'm not gonna have Guy on site overseeing Action Target's work.
Right, yeah, that makes sense.
Yep.
And then, do you have somebody who's gonna be on site, or?
I mean, I'm 7 minutes down the road,
So you're
so,
just gonna stop in periodically and see what's going on like that, you're not gonna have an actual
Right.
site super person, okay?
Lieutenant Durkin, you there?
Yep.
Do any of the contractors need to check in with the dispatch before they go there in the mornings, or how do you guys want to handle that for, you know, your own police department security?
Good
Yeah,
question.
well, once we get rolling, I'll give out my cell phone and Lieutenant Libertini's cell phone. And then obviously when people are en route, they can just give us a call and we'll make sure everybody knows about it.
Okay, you just want to make sure so there's no hiccups along the way.
Yep.
Yeah. It's probably a good idea, Evan, to have him attend our meeting, and we could probably, you know, have an agenda item to discuss, you know, access and, you know, coordination with the facility.
that was the first line item on the agenda, so we could get Lieutenant Durkin on and off quickly is
Yep.
logistics. You know, contractor parking, and inside access.
Perfect.
Good point, thanks, John. Can we look at the budget?
Any particular items you want to look at?
No, I actually was looking, starting with bottom line, so we're about 80,000 in the good.
Correct.
Okay. Are there any things that you're thinking might eat into that? A little bit for a permit, maybe?
Yeah, maybe if there's additional permit fees, but like I said, when I spoke with Action Target earlier today, they told me that permit fees were part of their,
Their amount, okay.
part of their amount already. We still have all of our, you know, money for low voltage, security, firearm systems.
Mhm.
You know, we're still, Anthony, it's something that we need to talk about too, is just those two fire heads. We're getting kind of we had ESC go out there, they said it's a Honeywell system run by United Alarms, but United Alarms is telling Kathy that they can't work on it.
I
Yeah.
got a little clarification, if you don't mind contributing. It, basically, the building maintainer said United Alarm monitors them and inspects them, but they don't service them or install them, I guess. I think that's what he basically told me.
So we gotta find out who's gonna do
I don't know who originally
that.
put them in,
Right.
but we just recently, one was damaged in the fire, the PD, and we had to buy it from a company in Bethel called Silent Watchman, and then our staff installed it.
Your staff installed it. So if we have, the total scope of this is relocate one head and install one new head.
Okay.
Is that something that your staff would be able to handle, or is it something
Well,
that
it
we should
wasn't
be?
they didn't run anything, they just
Okay.
replaced the head, so.
So,
That's,
so Anthony, we might have, if you're able to run that additional line to the new head location, we could do the final install. I don't know, something we're gonna have to figure out.
Well, yeah, let's, hold on, so that 5,000 that I'm seeing in the fire alarm system, is that the 5,000 that Rogers had for a fire alarm allowance, or is that 5,000 in your case? So it's, as, for devices, right, so you have one added strobe in the vestibule.
Yeah.
You have a relocated horn strobe in the range area that basically it just needs to be, extended to accommodate for the baffle wall. But there's two duct smokes now, right? So the duct, typically they would be provided by Action Target and wired by the fire alarm guy. And then there's also the flow and tampers on the new portion of the fire alarm. So that the 5,000 that Rogers carried encompassed all that. So the two fire alarm devices, wiring up the duct smoke, and the flows and tampers on a sprinkler. So I don't know how much your current vendor is going to be able to do, but doesn't sound like they're going to be able to do all that.
Yeah, it doesn't, yeah,
So I mean, you have if that 5,000 is the 5,000 based on what Rogers listed in their quote, then I think we're covered if you need them to do the work.
yeah, so we'll circle back on our meeting next week. Let me just do some final checking with our vendors here.
If you have that in there, I think you're covered.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'll have to look at that spreadsheet again that you gave me and whatever I have from Brad too, to see if the names, I guess was saying that, Signet did certain things and Network Synergy did, they each had utility did some, each one of them had a piece of, there were the cameras and the security and then all the communication stuff. Then there was different communication stuff that there's the dispatch, but then there's also communication within the building and the phones and
Right.
and some of that was like one company did one, another company did another, because some of it's specialty to how a police department operates. So I'll have to figure all that out. Any other questions or comments on our budget? I think we're looking pretty good here.
I like the surplus of 81. It's a good cushion in case something does pop from the head up. But we don't want that to happen. I
We
know.
don't want. We don't want. Anybody else got anything?
Nope.
Either for the AA document or the budget? Are we all good? Can we vote?
Yes.
So we have a motion. Do you need to hear the motion? No? Good. Let's all vote then. All in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed? I'm assuming Durkin voted yes, so thank you. Motion carries. We're good to go. All right, yay. So thank you, Anthony and Evan, for all your work that you've put into this. I know in a job this small and in something that was this complete, we would have thought it would have happened faster, but I know there's a lot going on out there with construction where people aren't looking at smaller jobs. So glad that we have all this together now, and also, like you said, if your contractors are looking at really getting going, I'm happy to hear that.
I
So,
make sure that
yep, you'll get Jeff to sign that and send it on over, and then I'll get Dan to sign it and get it back to you.
Yep, it's coming your way tomorrow.
All right, great.
Right. Evan, we'll talk offline, schedule our meeting for next week and finalize any odds and ends.
Yeah, that's great. I've got an interview at 11 o'clock tomorrow morning, so I probably won't answer the phone before that, but early afternoon.
Right. Well, thank you, everybody. Have a good night.
Yep, thank you, Anthony.
Make a motion, we adjourn.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Yay, we're done. Yay, we're getting moving. Yes, yes, yes,
Beautiful.
yes.